Hey, welcome back to the Experience Share. My name is Blake, and today I wanted to show you the deck that I play when I don't have anybody to play with. It turns out I was looking for a combo deck to build, and so I built this Death Speaker deck that the whole point of it was to draw through your entire deck and then play a Nimbus Shin and win the game in one single turn. And then I found out Seer might be a little bit better at what this deck is trying to do because it all revolves around one site. It all revolves around kind of the Geist Wood. You don't have to have the Geist Wood, but the combo is a whole lot easier to pull off whenever you have it. But the deck isn't really all that straightforward to play, and so I needed to practice with it, and then I realized I enjoyed practicing with this deck so much that it was almost like a stress reliever to get out, bust out this deck, and be able to play it. And so what I'll actually do from time to time in order to get some reps in with this deck, but also to play Sorcery when I don't have anybody on the Discord channel or I don't have anybody in paper to play with, is I actually just end up Goldfishing and playing this deck by myself, kind of like in solitaire. And so I know a little tongue-in-cheek how to play one-player Sorcery, but that's what we're going to be doing here today. Is I'm going to kind of explain, walk you through the deck. I was doing some gameplay videos of this deck in the past, and it's kind of convoluted to go through, and so it'll be a whole lot easier to explain as we're going through this. But the evolution of the deck, it all started off as a Death Speaker deck, and whenever you see these minions here, you'll find out why. But it ended up being a Seer deck at the end of it, so we can get over to this Geistwood. And what we're playing is basically 4-color draw your deck, and it revolves around the Geistwood. And to help us support the 4-color, we are playing the color out of space, and then a whole bunch of duels to help support the 4 colors. We got some Lighthouse, Oasis, Ruins, Aqueduct, Windmills, and then one each of the towers. The thresholds that really matter in this deck are going to be air as well as water. Those are going to be the main thresholds that you need. However, you know, if because you're playing 4-color, you have the Seer, you pretty much get the sites that you need. And thanks to all of the duels, there's really not any sort of issues with the site placement. So I'm gonna shuffle these up so that way we can hopefully get a legitimate kind of match here, and we can kind of see exactly what this does. But I'll show you the removal suite that's in here, and there's really not a ton of removal for this deck, but I'll explain what they are. And so the reason why this started as a Death Speaker is because you'll see the shell that we're playing, and that's going to be the Highland Princess, Land Surveyors, Apprentice Wizards, Deep Sea Mermaids, and then Grandmaster Wizards. So kind of that draw your deck package really revolves around these cards. However, you know what's better than a 6-mana draw 3 is a 4-mana draw 3. And so Self-Same Simulacrum typically tries to copy the Grandmaster Wizard. A card that you probably don't see too often is the Crones. And so Crones will comes down, it has Spellcaster, which will matter here in a minute. But it has Genesis. You may sacrifice another minion here to draw a card. Well, you know what happens when you have a Geistwood and a whole bunch of Genesis abilities on top of it? Well, you need a sack outlet to get double value on the Geistwood, and that's exactly what Crones does. It helps us get the value off of the Geistwood. And there's a cool kind of infinite combo that you can do to be able to draw your deck, and that's with Crones and Miracle Worker. So if you're on a Geistwood and you have a Crones and a Miracle Worker down, if you play Crones and you have a Miracle Worker already on the site, so you have a Crones, you have a Miracle Worker, and then you have one more Crones, this becomes an infinite loop. Because what you do is sacrifice Crones, targeting this Crones here, and so this will sacrifice, and it has Genesis, sacrifice another minion to draw a card. So then you sacrifice the Miracle Worker that has Genesis, get a card back. So you draw a card, then this effect will resolve. Then you get the Crones back into your hand. You play you play down a second Miracle Worker to get your Miracle Worker back, and then you do the loop all over again. Crones, sacrifice Miracle Worker, get back the Crones, play the Miracle Worker, get the Miracle Worker, and put it back into your hand. So if you have these 4 cards and a Geistwood, it's draw your entire deck. And now you might be saying, alright, how are we going to get the mana to be able to do this? And then once we draw our entire deck, what are we doing with it? And I'm sure you all have seen this combo before, but Nimbus Djinn is going to be the way that we do it, and we're going to do it with an Evil Presence. And so I'll flip this around, but Evil Presence, it's an exceptional, and it says you may summon spirits to affected sites, and whenever you summon a spirit here, it gains charge, and then return Evil Presence to its owner's hand. And so you play this down, then you play a Nimbus Djinn, which is a spirit, you bounce this back, you have an extra card that you can discard your next turn. Now, we have a lot of things to play, and so we need a lot of cores to be able to help get there. And so since we are playing 4 colors, we are playing 1 of each of the cores. But then really what combos this deck off, and Seer really helps with that, is the Philosopher's Stone. I'm going to set these Angel's Eggs aside for a second. That's Philosopher's Stone and Replication. So you can play Replication to copy an artifact that's being held by a caster, and you can have up to, and I normally do, have 3 Philosopher's Stones, and that's how that becomes an infinite loop to draw your deck, because you're playing the Crones down. And if you look at how many spellcasters you have the Apprentice Wizard, you have the Grandmaster Wizard, self-same copying a Grandmaster, and you have Crones. So you have so many spellcasters in this deck that you can pass around these Philosopher's Stones over and over again. And then if you have that combo here, you basically can cast, Deep Sea Mermaids and Apprentice Wizards for free. Now, the whole point is you need to basically stall out till about turn 6. If you can make it to turn 6, you're typically able to combo off at that turn 6, turn 7 mark. And so to help us get there, we have 3 Poison Novas, and same thing, we have a lot of spellcasters that we can use to cast this. So Poison Nova. The finisher in the deck is Heat Ray. And so you want to shoot this piercing projectile at 1 unit, and this will ensure that you're able to deal the death blow. Another cool combo with this deck is Browse, which has a look at your next 7 spells, put 1 in your hand and the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. And that matters so much because of Deep Sea Mermaids. And you can use Browse, and it's kind of like drawing 2 of the best cards, because you're drawing typically a Philosopher's Stone or a Replication, then you're putting another card in at the bottom that then you can draw with the Deep Sea Mermaid. And same thing goes with Seer. Instead of drawing a random card on the bottom for turn, you can scry, if you want to keep it, put it on the bottom, and then draw it with the mermaids. So this is a really fun deck. It's not tier 1. I would say Roots would completely destroy this deck because of 1, it's 4 color, and imagine having to reset this mana base. That would be that'd be disastrous to have to do that. But maybe with the next format, 30 sites, 50 spells, maybe it won't matter as much. Now it'll be harder to get the Geistwood, potentially. Who knows? Maybe there's some cool cards that come out in Arthurian Legends that makes it a little bit easier to go out and get these unique sites. If that's the case, though, I have a feeling Roots would probably get better as well. But what I'll typically do here is I'll just kind of get some reps in to get used to how to play this deck. And what you'll see over here is I use a dice to be able to keep track of my mana, and then I use this dice and this little tracker that I just printed off to be able to know which discounts that I've used for turn. So we've shuffled up. We'll draw 3 sites, draw 3 spells. Alright, so we have a combo piece here in the Replication, so I know we're going to want to keep that. It's more important to mulligan sites, and so I would want to keep the Land Surveyor. If I have to put 1 back, what I'm going to say is I'm actually going to put back the Deep Sea Mermaids, because all it's going to do is draw cards. We have plenty of other things that draw cards in this deck, but we do want sights, and so I'm going to mulligan 2 sights away. Earth is important. I have more water in here. Air is important. I am going to focus more on the air, and so I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 back and instead. So we're going to go ahead and mulligan this to the bottom and draw 2 and draw 1. All right, so we get a scry. I always scry my sight first. Scry that to the bottom, and we'll just pretend I go first. We won't draw a card for turn. And another thing that's good, if you can, is to play a water sight at the very beginning here, so that way they can't drown a Philosopher's Stone or something along those lines. So, and that'll be the turn 1. All right, ruins. This is not a Geistwood, so we're just going to draw. And kind of what we're drawing and digging for, it's going to be a Philosopher's Stone. So we will tap. I want to play passive, and so I typically go out wide first, and then we'll play out a Land Surveyor as a blocker. All right, and at that is our 2 mana, so I will pass for turn. Untap, we'll do our scry. Tower is not going to get us there. Draw. Grandmaster Wizard. Okay, and tap. If we play an Oasis here, let's see, we'll just come out here to the side again. I don't mind this play of go ahead and sacrificing the Land Surveyor to draw a card. If I waited a turn, a couple of turns, there's a chance that I could play, go ahead, sacrifice to also play Miracle Worker, but I just want to keep kind of churning through the deck right now. Heat Ray's not going to do much for us, and so with that, we will pass. Scry. Lighthouse does not get us there. Draw for turn. Alright. So at this point here, we don't have a tower or anything along those lines. I am probably just going to play this windmill and pass. I could play a Crohn's, but at this point I really do want to search out for the Geistwood, and so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of wait patiently for that. Another ruins, not going to get us there. Deep Sea Mermaids, okay. So we know we have a Deep Sea Mermaids on the bottom right now as well. So we do not have a sight. Let's go ahead, tap to draw a sight. Not the one that we need here, but I will go ahead, play Deep Sea Mermaids to draw the bottom card of my deck. We know it's another Deep Sea Mermaids, and I'm playing this on top of the surface because if I play a Philosopher's Stone, I can then submerge it, go underwater, and then it can't be targeted with a Dispel or anything along those lines. And then if you have 2 of the mermaids, you can kind of keep passing them up and down, and that guarantees the safety of your Philosopher's Stone. So we will untap, scry. Hey, we finally got the Geistwood. We'll leave that on top and draw it for turn. I will go ahead and tap, and I'm going to play the Geistwood next to it here. And we have 5 mana now, so I'm going to walk on both of these over. And it's not going to be the full combo because we don't have the discard outlet, but I'm going to play a Crohn's, sacrificing a Crohn's, sacrificing a Deep Sea Mermaid. So we will draw from the first Crohn's, have an Angel's Egg, we'll draw from the second Crohn's, a Land Surveyor, and then we'll draw the bottom card of our deck for a Poison Nova. And so we have 2 mana left here. I already have a sight in hand, and so I am just going to go ahead and play a Miracle Worker. This will let us get Crohn's back and make us a little bit closer to that loop that I was referring to earlier. So now we'll untap. We already have our designated site. We already have the Geistwood. So now we're going to start scrying our deck. We don't need Nimbus Gin. We are looking for Philosopher's Stones. Okay, not a Philosopher's Stone. So we have a couple of options here, and that's that we can tap, play a site to have 6 mana to be able to play a Grandmaster Wizard. But what I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that. I'm going to go ahead and pay 3, and so we have 5 mana right now. So we're going to have 2 left, and I'm going to sacrifice Crones to draw a card. And then we're going to use the Geistwood to sacrifice to draw another card. And then we will use the Miracle Worker's ability to get Crones back, put it into our hand. And let's see here. Alright, so we will go ahead, tap out for an Oasis, and then I'm just going to go ahead and play a Deep Sea Mermaid to draw from the bottom of my deck. And we did know that one was the Nimbus Gin. So now we can just kind of look at the cards in our hand here. We are at 6 mana. This is going to cost us 8 if we don't have any discounts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do we have the Heat Ray? No Heat Ray yet. So we're 9 times 3. That's 27. We have plenty to put them onto Death's Door. And actually, we get the Evil Presence back, so we can deal more. We can do plenty right now. So let's untap. We will scry. Ruby Core is not going to get us really any. I mean, I guess what? We're at 6. Do I have a way to draw from the bottom of our deck? Could self-same, but that doesn't quite get us there. Yeah, let's just go ahead and take it. So we'll just go ahead and keep that Ruby Core on top. We'll play it out. It'll be free. Not really free. It's mana neutral, so we're still going to have 6 after the fact. And I could play 6 to draw 3 cards, or I could play 3 to draw 3 cards. So we're going to go with the pay 3 and do it option. So we're going to pay 3 for a Crones. So we'll go down to 3 mana for turn. Sacrifice the Crones to draw a card. Hey, Philosopher's Stone. And with the sacrificed Crones, we will sacrifice the Deep Sea Mermaids. Put these both to our discard pile. Draw from the bottom. We have a Miracle Worker. And we have 3 mana left. And so what we can do is go ahead and pay 1 for a Philosopher's Stone. And we can go ahead and cast it into the hands of our Seer. And at this point, we haven't used any discounts. And so we will use our water discount to grab another Philosopher's Stone. And then, let's see, we have 1 mana left here. So we have plenty to combo off next turn. This is free, so we might as well play the free Crones, or the free Miracle Worker to get the Crones back. And then we can just pay 1, draw some more cards. That's probably a decent way to end it here. So let's pay 1, and that'll spend all of our mana for the turn. We'll sacrifice the Crones to draw a card off the first one. Aquamarine Core. We will then use that Genesis or Deathrite to sacrifice here to draw another one. And then we'll use the Miracle Worker Genesis to get our Crones back. And then what we can do here is actually just walk our Seer over. Seer can go ahead and drop off all the Philosopher's Stones that he has, put it in the hands of the Crones, And now we get a reset. Now we don't have any mana, and so the really only thing that we can do is play out this Land Surveyor to draw a site. And that'll do it. We're going to have the full kind of combo. We'll have enough cards in hand to finish it. We have the Heat Ray to finish off the game. So that gets us close enough. So then next turn we'll untap. We will scry. We don't need a wizard. And then we'll draw. We have Miracle Worker. But that is going to do it here, because what we can do is just go ahead, tap, and play a tower. And wherever they are, at this point now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, and then we have a 2 mana discount each time. So 9 mana, we can play a free Evil Presence wherever our opponent's avatar is, and not really in a rush to draw through my deck, but sure. Let's see. I guess for the fun of it, what we can do, we'll just, yeah, we might as well just pay the 6, go down to 3, bounce this back to our hand, and then we can discard 3, let's do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21. Actually, let's go ahead and we'll get rid of that one. 21. And what we're going to hold in our hand is the Heat Ray and a Spellcaster. And the reason why that matters is because now we can summon our Crones or whatever anywhere, or our Grandmaster Wizard, and we can just cast the Heat Ray to deal the death blow. So that's kind of what I do to be able to just goldfish, and I can do this plenty of times. It's a lot faster too when you're not narrating through the game, but this is a way that I can get repetition and practice with this deck, and also enjoy playing the game, playing Sorcery, and going through these cards that I just enjoy doing. And so let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on this deck? Is this something that you would ever do? Would you ever just play Sorcery by yourself? Goldfishing this draw your deck combo. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Take care.